today I am up potting some of my plants that I started inside a few weeks ago. There's more than one in each container, and ideally you want to have just one plant in each container. So I'm going to go through and thin these out, but rather than just clipping them off and tossing them, I'm going to pull them out of the soil, put them into another pot, and then I can give them to friends. There's a plant swap that's coming up soon where we swap plants, so I could take them to that. So I'm going to show you that process and how I do it. So this is my flat of tomatoes that I started for this year. Just rubbing my hand across them, I can smell, the scent of tomatoes. It's amazing. So in each little pot, I had sowed a couple seeds, and you can see in this one, the Italian Romo, this one came up really strong, and well, no, that is a weed. That is a pepper seed, I think. Okay, I don't know what that is, but I will just take that out. Let me find a different example. This is a Marion tomato that I started, and you can see this one came up really strong, and this one behind here is kind of lagging behind. That one's so small, I'm just gonna clip that one and I'll toss it. But then this one over here, the Champagne Bubbles tomato, which is my absolute favorite, it is a cherry tomato. You can see, let me push this aside. You can see this one is really strong. This is the one that I'm gonna keep. This one over here is also looking a little stronger. It's definitely a little bit behind that one. And then you have this one in the middle here. So I will leave this one in its pot. I'm gonna pull this one out and pot that into another pot. And then this third one here, I'm just gonna clip and toss. You could repot that one also if you wanted to, but I think 2 should be fine. So I'm gonna go through here and just figure out which one I wanna keep in the main pot and which one I'm gonna repot. So this is a Champagne Bubble tomato. This is one of my favorite cherry tomatoes. And in here, I always put more than one seed in each pot, because sometimes you do have great germination rate, sometimes you don't. So I put a few seeds in here and 3 of them came up. So you can see this one obviously came up first, it was the strongest, this one second, and this one third. This is the smallest one. I'm gonna keep this one in this pot, and I will very gently pull this one out and repot this one. I could repot this little one as well, but I only need 2. So I'm just gonna clip that one because it's tiny, and repot this one. I always up pot or repot seedlings when they have at least one set of true leaves. So let me show you what that means. So in this pot here, I'll show you this one. You can see these little leaves on the bottom there. These are the leaves that will pop up first when a seed germinates. That is not a true leaf. The next set that pops up, this one looks more jagged. It looks more like a tomato leaf. This set will be its first true leaves, and it's already growing its third set of true leaves in the middle there. That is when I know it is time to up pot, it's time to thin out. I wait until there's at least one set of true leaves. So I have my containers here. These are just containers that I had saved and a tray to put them in. First that we're gonna do is fill these containers with soil. I do use just a regular potting soil. I don't buy a seed starting mix. In my personal opinion, I've had better success with just using potting soil. Sometimes, depending on what seed mix you buy, the seed mix does not have enough nutrients in that blend to sustain the plant until you need to plant it out, which means you will need to give your seedlings some kind of fertilizer or up pot them into a richer soil. So I always start with potting soil because all the nutrients are in there, and I don't have to worry about giving these any kind of fertilizer before I transplant them into the garden. Are you gonna help?
Yes.
Sweet. This is one of Carson's favorite jobs to do. He loves to help me put dirt in the cups, right? Now with potting soil, sometimes you're gonna have bigger pieces that end up in there. I do pull those out as much as I can, but in all honesty, I have not had an issue using potting soil as a seed starting mix. The next step is we're just gonna get this soil a little bit moist, put some water over it. I'm gonna put it on the ground, that way you can do it on the grass. Try to get even, okay?
Okay, Mom, okay.
Go back and forth. Get this one over here a little bit. This one over here needs water. Okay, those other ones are pretty good, man. You did awesome. Okay, now let's put it back on the table.
Yeah.
Next, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna label. I have these little plastic labels. I got a huge box of them on Amazon and they're really durable. They don't fade. So I'm gonna go through and I'm just gonna write how many tags for how many tomatoes I'm gonna up pot and stick those in my containers. So now I got all my labels done. I can focus on getting my hands dirty and I don't have to worry about trying to write labels. And here is that champagne bubbles again. And I'm gonna take this little baby here. I'm just gonna pinch it off with my fingers. But do you see, well, I kind of pulled it up, but do you see how there's roots on there? You could easily pot that one up if you need another tomato. This main one is staying, so I'm just gonna very gently pull this other one. See, there's roots on there. Tomatoes don't mind having their roots disturbed, so it's really okay that you kind of mess with them. They are gonna have a little bit of like transplant shock. They'll look super sad for a couple days, but they will bounce back. So don't worry, you didn't kill your plants by up potting them. They just have to get readjusted and they'll be fine. So that one's done. And then I'm just gonna work down my line of all the ones that I have labeled. Also, when I'm putting them in this container, I am planting them up to that first set of leaves. Tomatoes have little like veins all along their stem. If you look really closely, it's like little tiny hairs, and those are all roots wanting to go somewhere. So the deeper you plant a tomato, the stronger of a root system you have, the bigger of a root system you have. I follow that rule even when I plant out in the garden. I will plant my tomatoes very deep after the last frost. That's my process for up potting. These will go back inside under the grow lights. Again, they're gonna look a little wonky for a few days, but that's totally normal. You did not kill your plants. Plants want to grow, so you can be pretty rough, especially with tomatoes. They don't mind root disturbance. There are other plants that I wouldn't do this with, but tomatoes and peppers, this is the process I follow to up pot them. Hope you learned something. We'll see you on the next one.